Google's kind of told everybody there's some big changes coming that you need to be on top of these two areas particularly. Otherwise, you're just really not going to be found. Hey everyone, Jesse Dolan and Bob Brennan here with Local SEO Tactics. Today we're going to be talking about two more topics. One is mobile-friendly mobile optimization for your website to make sure you're playing well on mobile devices, and your SSL or HTTPS security. Both of these are big topics as it relates to SEO. Over the last year, Google's kind of told everybody there's some big changes coming that you need to be on top of these two areas particularly. Otherwise, you're just really not going to be found. So we're going to dig into those, and again, just like all the other episodes, take notes. This isn't going to be fun, sexy stuff, right?
It's important.
It's extremely important. If you're going to have a website, you got to be doing these things. Otherwise, it's really what's the point of doing it? Right. Especially with these two topics today. So take notes, grab a pencil and some paper, or kind of bookmark some times on this. You're going to want to take some actions and get this stuff rocking on your own website. So the first topic we're going to cover today is the mobile side of things. Everybody today, we use our phones, or iPads and tablets too, but predominantly smartphones to do a lot more searching than we used to even a couple of years ago. And that has an impact on SEO now. You got to design sites to be found, particularly in mobile devices. Google's kind of made it known to everybody that if your website is not mobile friendly or mobile responsive, and we'll break those terms down here in a minute, they're going to penalize you.
Yep.
All things being equal, we use this kind of example format here all the time, but if Bob and I have identical websites, if his is optimized for a mobile device and mine is not, Google's going to give him preference over mine, and he's going to get the traction and the audience that I'm not going to get, and going to get the customers. So
yeah, and we're getting more comfortable using our mobile devices for buying anything from airline tickets to, athletic events, the whole 9 yards. So that being said, the searches obviously have to fall in line with that as well.
Right. And part of that adoption is as websites do get better, right? Being more mobile friendly, us as users are more inclined to use our phones for those kinds of things, where a year or two ago, websites really weren't designed for mobile devices. You design your website on your desktop or for your laptop, and on your phone, you'd have to, pinch and zoom to really get into stuff. And that's just not convenient. People didn't use it. But as websites started to become responsive, users started adapting. The responsive website is kind of the first version of the migration over to kind of a mobile first platform. And a responsive website, for what that term means, is a website that will change based on the device you're using, right? So if you're on your laptop or your desktop, it'll look good. It'll be big and wide and everything else. Now, if you see that same website on an iPad, it might rearrange itself a little bit.
Right.
Some of the elements might pull down or come in a different order. The sizes and the shapes really aren't going to maybe change too much, but the order where they're at on the page, the layout will. And then if you view that same web page on a mobile device, like a smartphone or an iPhone, that's going to take that even more extreme, right? It's going to be much more of a one column design. So things that might have gone left to right are just going to be up and down now, and they'll rearrange. And a responsive website is one that just kind of changes, right, depending on whatever your device is. It's always going to look good and rearrange itself. No pinching and zooming needed to navigate the website. A mobile-friendly website, same thing basically. Not going to be primarily designed to be viewed on a mobile device necessarily, but you're not going to have any problems if you're on a mobile device navigating it. So the most recent term that's relevant in the industry and out there in the web world is mobile-first design. And the big distinction on that versus mobile-friendly or responsive is you design the website primarily as to be viewed on a mobile device, right? Obviously, it's going to be viewed on laptops and desktops as well, so you want to make it look good for that, but you have to pretend in your mind that the user is on a mobile phone, when they're visiting your website. Statistics show that depending on the industry you're searching for, the product you're searching for, upwards of 70 or 80% of searches are done on mobile devices. Now to kind of break down what I mean by that on the context, let's say somebody's going to be ordering toner cartridges for their office. Well, most of the people doing that kind of search are probably sitting at their cube right on their desk. So those kinds of searches aren't going to have that high degree of mobile searches, right?
Right.
If you look up the stats on those kinds of search terms, probably primarily desktop or laptop type users. Maybe the nearest restaurant or chiropractor or services like that, out and about, shoe repair. Mobile, that's...
Yeah, you're broken down on the side of the road.
Right.
You're you're a truck driver, you're broken down on the side of the road. What are you going to do?
Right.
You're not going to necessarily pull out your desktop or
Right.
whatever. You're going to pull out your phone. We've had clients that repair phones for a living, and they've said their customers have come in with their broken, cracked screen with their website up right there.
Yep.
You know, so they know it works.
Absolutely.
So that's, yeah, I mean, certain services, again, if you're going to have architectural drawings done or you're going to have a house design, you're probably going to sit down at your desktop, look at the site. We're not sure, you know, that really needs to be 100% mobile first, but services that, you know, that really this is what this show is catering to, is it has to be mobile first, in my opinion.
Yeah. And some of the elements that make a website mobile first, it doesn't have to mean it's small or things like that, right? Because you're still, every mobile first quote unquote website is still going to be responsive. Yep. If you're looking at it on any size screen, it's going to rearrange itself and just look great, or at least it should if you're doing it properly. But some of the elements that really make something mobile first are buttons instead of text links. So if you want somebody to jump to the next page, you know, click here for more information, you know, for example, or click here to schedule an appointment. You don't want to have that link just be a little bitty text link, right? Somebody with big old sausage fingers, you're going to be clicking the wrong links, right, or not able to get there. So one of the elements for mobile first is if you're going to have a link to something, have it be a big button. And I say big button on purpose. Same thing. You don't want a little tiny button, you know, a little bullet point or something for somebody to click on, or a little image. It should be taking up a good chunk of the screen. A great design for a button is actually a full width button. You know, on your smartphone, it would go left to right, the full width of the screen. Makes it super easy for a user to click that, and they don't even have to think about it. It's just kind of instinctively, you know what it is. So there's that don't make me think convention, you know, that we've talked about before. And then there's the actual physical act of clicking on it that is easier when it's a large size button. So that's probably one of the most critical parts as far as the mobile first goes. A second part would be clear and concise points. We talked in the previous episode of how to use your H1, H2, H3 tags for your headlines for your website. Same thing here on mobile first. Make sure those are really, really called out and really identified. People are scrolling through that page, right? So on a desktop or on a laptop, you're presented with a lot more of the text to view at any given time, right? On our smartphones, we're scrolling to the part that needs to be relevant. So part of mobile first on that is to make sure it's organized, make sure you have plenty of headlines. You know, again, don't overuse your H1, you know, use your H2 and H3 type headlines to identify areas of the page that are relevant. But you're going to want to call those out and make those easy to navigate. Don't mash a ton of pictures on there and things like that and really clutter it up. Really, at the end of the day, how do you know if you're doing it right? Test it on your phone. Like we talked before, the cool part about the web page is you can update it, check it out, update it again. Nothing's set in stone once you hit save or once you hit publish. Definitely test it out on your mobile device. If you're using Google Chrome, kind of a favorite tool of mine is it's a plugin called WebRes, WEBRES. And with that, you can actually set up within the plugin screen sizes, right, to test. So if I'm doing a web page on my laptop and I want to see what it would look like on my phone, I can just click that, switch over to the iPhone view, and it's going to show me exactly what it looks like. It's going to render it right there on the page. So I don't have to wonder what it looked like on my phone or even pull up my phone to pull up the page and test it out. Sometimes if you're developing a page, you haven't published it. You know, the real world can't see it yet. So how do you test it out for yourself to see if it's going to look good? You can use a tool like that. Lots of other tools. That's just a personal favorite of mine. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes too for everybody else to make it easy.
So basically you want to design for conversion. So
absolutely.
It's about designing in such a way on the mobile that if you came across your website, would you use you? And then there's nuances like, again, being able to tap the phone number and it dials the phone. So that's huge. People, I think, way overlook that. I mean, there's some poor designs out there, but again, you want them to have the ability to take action. And they, you know, if it's confusing of where the phone number is, they're simply not going to convert. But if you have that phone number front and center, bright color, can't miss it, and, you know, click here to call even, click here to call button or some other type of, again, symbol that gets them to take action, that's huge. I can't believe how many websites that people just hide the phone number.
Right. Yeah, like Bob said, it's really about the conversions. And when we say mobile first, the big part of that is that user experience, right? The user interface. When we say that, it doesn't mean that like the architecture in the background or that somehow the coding is better for mobile, although there is some of that can be true. But the big thing Google talks about when they say that mobile first importance is the user experience. And obviously the Google algorithm and how they look at the pages now, they can take all that into account. They can kind of model it on different sizes and they see how that works. So I want to circle back though. Bob made a great point, the click to call. Most browsers or operating systems, like iPhone, if you're doing a search for something in Safari and you visit a website, if they have a phone number on there, it'll automatically be a hyperlink to call, right? So you can, if you see a phone number, you should be able to touch it and just call right on your phone. That's not always the case though. It doesn't always work like that out of the box. Depends on what kind of software you're using or how you're designing your website, or sometimes things are kind of quirky if you're using like the Google app on the iPhone. Sometimes it doesn't work for some reason. If you're on Android, maybe there can be some browser that you're using. So that would absolutely be something to test because, as we talked, this show is about SEO, with the end result being that you get customers. You don't want to just show up high in Google and then that's not how you win. You win by getting those new customers. To get those new customers, we have to rank high in Google. So there's always a lot of conversion elements that we talk about here, and that click to call or having your website be a clickable link to generate that phone call is absolutely huge. In that same vein, for them contacting you, if you have a contact form to fill out on your website, again, make sure the fields are big. Make sure they're big enough to click on. So somebody with the big fat sausage fingers can actually fill out that form. And if there's a submit button or a send this button, make those big too. You just don't want it to be difficult to do and have any barrier for the person to not follow through and ultimately contact you. Right. So just like the click to call for your phone number on your website, something that can get overlooked real easy with people is your address, right? So a lot of us, again, we're searching on our mobile phone. We're probably wanting to navigate to the place as well. So make sure on your website, first of all, it's always a good idea to have your address, physical address listed on there anyways. Right. Unless you don't want people coming. There are businesses where that won't apply. You don't want people coming to you. But if you are a business where customers do visit your location, and that's important, make sure it's on your website and make sure you test it out, that on a mobile device you can touch or click on your address and it'll pull up the navigation native on your phone or mobile device. That should be kind of built in, again, just like your phone number is. But in case it's not, there may be some manual coding that you have to do to pull that off, which is not tough to do. Right. You can Google how to do some of that, or as always, you can reach out to us. If we got a resource we can shoot your way, or if we can help you out, we're here to do that. But definitely make sure your phone number and your address, that you can click on those and get what you need to pull up. Another important part of the mobile first kind of concept is the speed. We talked on that last week for image sizes and download speeds. Same thing's going to apply here in that mobile first strategy. Images are going to be your biggest hurdle, for getting over on that. The size of the image is a huge part of how long it takes for the web page to download. But again, test it out. There's some really great tools out there to test your website and just kind of see how fast it loads. My favorite is put out by Google. It's developers.google.com/speed. And you just plug in your website on there. Google will run a quick test on it, and it'll give you a grade and some notes about how fast it loads, how good the speed is on mobile and on desktop. Important to note there, those are two different scores. How your web page loads on a mobile versus a desktop. Google's got some information there on how it makes that decision, what it assumes for maybe if you're on Wi-Fi, if you're on cell service. So check both of those out. But again, it's developers.google.com/speed. And we'll put a link to that on the show notes as well for everybody. And it's free. So just put your website in there and test it out. Like we always say with these tools, you can also do that on your competition. If you got somebody you're chasing in the search rankings and you want to just see how good they are, why are they outranking me? Well, plug them into this and see. Maybe if they score super high on the mobile and you're not, that can point out a weakness that you have in an area that you definitely want to shore up. So check that out. Another great test that Google puts out that's free for everybody is their mobile friendly test. And for that one, this is kind of a long link. So again, we'll put a link to this in the show notes. You don't have to worry about remembering this. And I got to read it here, so pardon me, but it's search.google.com/test/mobile-friendly. Wow. Did you get that?
I'll wait for the movie.
Right. But that's super good. And that'll tell you a lot of the things we were talking earlier. Is it really set up in a mobile friendly environment? How are your buttons? How are all the other elements? This isn't primarily a speed test on this one. That's the other one, developers.google.com/speed. But this one is kind of a more overall, how are you doing on a mobile device here? Super useful. And again, check your website, check your competition as well if you want to gain some insights there. But definitely recommend it if you haven't tested your website out through a tool like this. Check that one out. Again, both of these, they're put out by Google, right?
Right.
So you can go to some third-party apps if you want, try some other websites out, but this is Google, and they're going to be telling you what you need to do to your website to rank high in their search engine, which is the #1 search engine that we're trying to get in. So use some other ones if you want, but don't skip these two there. They're extremely important. So those are some really important things to take into consideration with your website, how to optimize them for mobile. Again, at the end of the day, like we always say, put yourself on the other end of the keyboard, right? Don't just design your website for what you want to push out there. Test it out. Get in the mindset of the customer that's going to be visiting your website on a mobile device. Make sure they're not getting frustrated. Make sure it's easy to do. Have friends, family, strangers test it out. You don't want to be burdened by the curse of knowledge, knowing how your website is to navigate and just saying, oh, it looks great. Click here. I'm fine.
Right.
Hand it to somebody and say, how would you order from here, right? Or how would you make a reservation or whatever your product or service is? Have them test it out. Watch them. Don't guide them. Don't cheat. Don't tell them the answer. And just see where they stumble. And if they're at all pausing or stumbling, make note of that. Something you want to correct. And
yeah, I think asking them questions. Don't ask them open-ended questions about the website.
Right.
Just say, hey, how's my website? They're going to tell you it's great. Ask them more direct questions like, I need you to find the phone number on our website. Go and time them and just do that. With a couple people just to get an idea. If they're responding within a few seconds, I think you've done well. But if they're searching and they can't find it for whatever reason, and don't take it personal. That's just insight that you need to change the number or change the color on the number or again redesign it accordingly. But
absolutely,
doing stuff like that will ultimately benefit you in the long run.
So that's about it for the mobile-friendly, mobile-responsive part of what we're talking about today. We're going to move into the security aspect of your website. And this is a new thing right now. We're recording this right at the end of February. It's going to come out first part of March. And this spring/summer, Google's making a huge change in the web results for if you do or if you don't have a secure website. They're taking this very serious. They're going to penalize websites that are not secure. They're going to kind of put big disclaimers that this website is not secure, which is effectively going to scare the crap out of people from clicking on your website and going any further. So it's a big deal. So what the SSL means and how we can kind of visualize that for ourselves is two things. One, if you pull up a website in your browser, you're going to get that little green bar at the top. And usually there's a little lock that'll show as locked versus unlocked when you're on a secure website. Another thing that you can see is the actual address of the web page. A standard format, at least to date right now, would be HTTP:// then your website, right? HTTP is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. With the S, that adds that security to it, right? So on a website that's going to have the green bar at the top and the little lock for the security, it's going to say HTTPS:// and then your website. If you see that on a website, that's secure, even if it doesn't have the green bar or that lock, depending on your browser and things like that. If you're going to the website and it's HTTPS, it's going to be secure. Good news for all of us is it's not that hard to get your website converted over to be what's called a SSL, Secure Socket Layer Security. Most website hosting providers out there like GoDaddy, Bluehost, any of the big ones and the small ones are probably going to let you do this for free. If you're using a web host that utilizes cPanel, which is kind of a particular administrative portal within the web host, very, very common. Most likely that's what your web host is using. Most hosting providers that use cPanel are also going to use Let's Encrypt. That's super easy. For free, you can generate your own security certificate, which is what you need to be installed on your website to get this SSL security. Let's Encrypt makes it super easy. It's free. It's included with your host usually. If it's not, you might pay $20, maybe $10 to have that done. Again, this is usually something your hosting provider is going to be able to provide to you. It's kind of within their realm and it's what they do and it's not going to be foreign to them. So you don't have to worry about researching this yourself. If you log into your hosting provider, GoDaddy or whatnot, and then don't make it very evident on how to do this, call them up, start a support ticket. Or again, you can reach out to us for some kind of advice and help, and we can help guide you on that. But right now, this is probably the biggest thing in the hosting and in the web world is converting your site to be secure. They should have a big button somewhere or a big headline somewhere or some kind of a banner that's leading you to get yourself converted. If you have a website that's existing already, you've probably received emails, if not phone calls from them about converting yourself over too. So this isn't going to be a foreign topic.
Right.
They'll know what you're talking about. It's probably the thing that they talk about in their monthly meetings internally to get everybody converted over. So it's very topical. You're not going to have a hard time doing it. Sometimes what you have to do after you install that security is go back into your website, and on your page, if you have any links that reference with HTTP, you're going to have to manually change those links to be HTTPS, and then the rest of your link. That S, again, is what triggers it to be secure. So hopefully that helps you kind of demystify it a little bit. Again, feel free to reach out to us on the show page, intrix.com/show. Drop us some feedback. We're here to help.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So reach out to us if you're at all confused. But hopefully that breaks it down and helps it makes it a little easier for you. So if you like what we're doing, we'd love for you to just take a minute, intrix.com/iTunes. It's going to bring you right to our iTunes show page. Leave us a review and a rating. It's really going to help it out. And if you want to watch this in video, go to our show page, intrix.com/show. Click the orange button to watch it in video. You can also grab a transcription of the show if you want to read it back or share it with one of your friends or family. So, all right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Hey everyone, Jesse Dolan here, catching on the backside. Wanted to share with you another review this week. The last couple of weeks we've been fortunate enough to have some reviews to share, and we're getting some more rolling in, so we're going to keep sharing them as long as we keep getting them. Absolutely love this, you guys. We're amazed that people are listening, that people are caring, and writing us these great reviews. So wanted to share this one this week. It's from Miss Latran. Hopefully I said your last name right. It says, "So much goodness. I am always looking for ways to gain visibility for my business, and this podcast is so helpful. I've only listened to 2 episodes so far, and I'm excited to implement what I've learned. Thank you." And that's perfect. That's what we hope happens. You can take these episodes, nice little bite-sized chunks for you to take action on and make a difference with your business. So absolutely love it, you guys. Thank you so much. If you'd like to leave us a review, go to intrix.com/iTunes. And again, don't forget to check out all the show notes and all the content from this episode, transcription, the video at intrix.com/episode 8. And as always, I wanted to mention real quick, if you want to do our free SEO report, just go to intrix.com, click on the free SEO button, and you can run any of your web pages through that. It takes about 15 seconds. The results are on screen right when you're done, and it'll instantly email you a PDF with that you can check out later. Scores your website front to back, lists all the important SEO areas, and gives you a grade on each one. Tells you what you're doing good, tells you what you need to improve, and it acts as a checklist for you to make improvements that you need. So check that out. Use it as many times as you want on your pages or on any of your competitor pages as well to see what they're doing. And that's about it. We'll catch you next week.